Since 1989, Canada's first televised motorcycle magazine has been covering everything on two wheels. We've sampled new motorcycles from around the globe, toured North America from coast to coast, and interviewed some of the most interesting people on two wheels. So get set to keep your right hand cranked as Toyota Truck presents Motorcycle Experience.
Hello and welcome to Motorcycle Experience, the voice of motorcyclists everywhere. I'm Dave Hatch, and this week we're coming to you from Yamaha Motor Canada, where we're waiting in line for some parts. As for our program this week, let me tell you, it rocks.
Also this week, my good friend Norm Wells and I will bring you a fresh entry in our BMW Motorrad Ultimate Riding Tour Diary. Last week, after 4 years of dithering, we kicked off a brand new motorcycle tour in St. John's, Newfoundland. This week, we're going to get right stuffed at Aunt Millie's before we head out to ride. Speaking of ultimate rides, remember last week I challenged Brian Hudgen to a slow riding competition in the sand, and he failed? Well, this week he's getting some pointers from one of the best instructors in Canada, and I'm giving Brian a second shot. Plus, rookie reporter Aliki Carrion will file another story on being a rookie rider that is, while our roving reporter Paul Connard has another report from the road. But first, we start the show with our ride of the week, Honda Canada's brand new CBR 250R. You may recall that last season we were invited down to South Carolina to get the lowdown on Honda's all-new small displacement sports machine, and we were mightily impressed. At first glance, you may think that the CBR 250R is a punched-out version of its baby bro, the CBR 125R, a popular runner that's been around since 2008. However, to dismiss the new 250 as just a bigger 125 would be a big mistake. The all-new lightweight sport machine is powered by a liquid-cooled, fuel-injected 249cc single with twin cams and 4 valves. The bigger CBR also sports a 37mm fork, mounted up with a 296 single disc brake up front, and there's also optional ABS. And the wheels, well, there's just no comparison. Then there's the gorgeous VFR 1200-inspired bodywork. The whole package looks good standing still, but after Honda threw me the keys, I have to say the riding experience completely took me by surprise. But to be perfectly honest, our riding time down in Charleston at the press launch was limited. So when we got back to Canada, we invited a regular contributor and current CBR 125 owner Dave Fox to come down to the county and sample the new 250 firsthand. And here's what he had to say after a weekend in the saddle. So Dave, I thought you would be the perfect person to try this bike given you are a CBR 125R owner. So what did you think when you saw the two side by side?
Dave, your show cost me a lot of money. I rode the CBR 125 when it first came out and fell in love with it. As you know, I'm a cruiser rider, but just the enjoyment of riding a light, easy to handle, sporty bike caught me, and I really enjoy riding a 125.
Yeah.
However, I can be faithful, but I can also be falling in love with another bike. The 250 is just that much better. Obviously a little bit heavier, a wee bit more comfortable. The fit and finish, it's just a really nice package.
Right. So obviously, you're used to the 125. This is a 250. What did you think of the engine?
It's got lots of get up and go, especially in the low end. You had no trouble keeping up with the other bikes we were riding with today on the highway. Mm-hmm. With that, you would think with a small motor there'd be a lot of rev to it, but they've got a counterbalancer built in somehow that the vibration is absent. It's a 6-speed, which helps even it all out, but very comfortable to ride, given the fact that the horsepower is not a lot, but you feel comfortable on the highway.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was on the press launch with this, and we took it up on the freeway, and it had no problem pulling me along at 55, 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's right.
How did you like the way it stops?
The brakes seem more than adequate to handle what it weighs. I believe it weighs about 360 pounds or so, which is light, but the brakes are certainly adequate for that. This model doesn't, but Honda has the 250, of course, with the ABS as well.
For me, I think the biggest difference of this bike in all, besides the power of the engine, are those tires. Like when we talk about the way it handles, it really does feel just a little more planted through the corners. Would you agree?
I agree. And my first choice in bikes is often based on the appearance of the bike. And I like the look of the 125, the fact that it looks like a sport bike. But as soon as you get within a few meters of the bike, the tires on the 125 are the dead giveaway that, oh, this is a pretty small bike.
Right.
But this tire does have a little more meat to it.
Yeah. Now, what did you think of the cockpit? Because obviously when you make the jump up, you get this really nice looking tack and a little bit more sort of in the bells and whistles category, right?
That's what the part amazed me, how Honda's able to deliver the quality that they have here for the money and, again, for the size. We're talking about a pretty small motorcycle. And yet, you're right, they have the analog with the digital. There's a clock. You've got a fuel gauge. So this bike has most any feature that you would need in a basic motorcycle.
One of the things that blew me away about this bike is a 250. I'm 6 foot tall. Just how comfortable it is. I can't believe the reach to the saddle and the foot pegs.
I'm not 6 feet tall. And I still found it comfortable. If that tells, I guess that helps the viewers know that it's comfortable no matter what size you are. And it is amazing how they are able, with such a small frame bike, to have the pegs and the handlebars configured just right.
Yeah.
I don't find it a lot different than the 125. It's for me, it's good as well, but this one is very comfortable. Probably just a little bit more upright in this one than in the 125.
Right.
Just a little bit.
What did you think of the bike's fit and finish? I mean, clearly Honda must have a budget in mind in order to make the bike affordable. Is there anything budget about it?
Really, I don't think so. That's, again, going back to my earlier comment about the cockpit. I think the whole package looks like it's worth more than you have to pay. I don't want Honda to put the price up necessarily, but the fit and finish, just the way everything's configured, the quality of things, the lights, the mirrors, the paint job, I think it's very well done.
So who are we going to tell to go out and buy this bike?
Anyone that wants to have some fun. Yes, it's geared for beginning riders, and it would be a great bike for a beginning rider. I'm not a beginning rider, and I still have lots of fun on it. So I think for someone who wants to ride it to work every day, who wants to just have fun on a sport bike, I'm a cruiser rider, like I said, but if someone wants that contrast and for not a lot of money, like I think it's $4,400 Canadian to buy one of these out of the showroom, pretty good deal.
Yeah.
So you've got affordability, ease of handling, and at the same time, you've got fuel economy. So what better combination?
You forgot the fun factor.
Oh yes, fun.
Good stuff. Thanks again, Dave. Great job. Now don't touch that remote. There's still plenty more experience still ahead. Cheers. Next, we head down east to the Rock Bay for a little fish and brews. Portions of Motorcycle Experience are brought to you in part by Honda, BMW Motorrad, Closed captioning of this program is provided by Motovan.
Welcome back as Toyota Truck presents The Experience. I'm Dave Hatchett. It's time now for this week's ultimate ride. Yep, we're back on the rock, and we're going to meet Uncle Max and Aunt Millie.
Okay, so as you know, for the past 10 years, Norm Wells of BMW Motorrad fame and myself have been exploring some of the best riding roads in North America, from the Rockies to the Grand Canyon, Vancouver Island to Cape Breton. And last week we kicked off a brand new ultimate ride when we touched down on the Rock in St. John's, Newfoundland. When we arrived, we picked up our motorcycles from Keith Windsor and his team of nice guys over at Avalon Motorrad BMW, aka the Toy Box, before checking into the Quality Hotel located right on the harbor in downtown St. John's. Today we're going to pick up our story the very next morning on the southwest side of St. John's at Norm's Aunt Millie and Uncle Max's house. That's right, you heard me right. I said Aunt Millie's place. You see, after poking around a little bit in the downtown core and soaking in the local flavor, we decided that before we strike out for our first day on the rock, we had better get a good hearty breakfast in us. One that includes beer. Right? Well, Norm, here we are officially kicking off day one of our ultimate ride in Newfoundland, and what a perfect start. We went to your aunt's for breakfast.
Not bad, eh? And,
no, not everybody's going to be able to do this.
No, obviously, and big beautiful day, and we started off with a very traditional type breakfast. Your introduction to fish and brews.
Yeah.
And, for whatever reason you thought it was fish and beer, but you quickly found out that it wasn't.
Yeah.
No, it was a great way to start the morning off.
It was delicious and a warm welcome, and now we got the whole day ahead of us, and we've got a fabulous, fabulous September fall day here. What are we going to do today?
Well, today we're going to stay pretty much in the St. John's area because there's a lot to do here, and people who would come here normally from the Port aux Basques side, you have to remember it's 900 kilometers from Port aux Basques to here if you're going to ride across. So
right.
You need to plan a day in St. John's area if you're coming over. So we'll get down and see, the downtown area, George Street, which is the very lively evening area of St. John's, and then make our way to Signal Hill.
Yep.
And then later on this afternoon, make our way out to Cape Spear. So full day of historical sightseeing.
Right. Well, definitely if you come to St. John's, you got to find yourself, I don't know, can we get fish and brews at a restaurant somewhere here if you were just a tourist in town?
Yeah, some restaurants will serve it. Probably not the big mainstream ones, but some of the smaller ones would serve it. I mean, it is very unique to Newfoundland, so I'm sure you can find it somewhere if you're looking for it. But
right. Great way to start the day. Thanks again for breakfast. Looking forward to an ultimate ride.
Absolutely.
Let's hit the road.
Yes, sir.
Now, if you decide to try this Newfoundland trip for yourself, let's get this straight. Don't be knocking on Aunt Millie's door looking for some fish and brews. She and Uncle Max are down east friendly and all, but I don't think they want to be hosting a whole pile of ME viewers from the east. Anyway, next week we'll be riding back through St. John's proper, up to Signal Hill for one spectacular photo op. This National Historic Site dating back to the 17th century is a must-see. Not only has it been a strategic lookout and the site of the final 7 Years' War battle of 1762, but Cabot Tower marks a spot where on December 12, 1901, the first transatlantic wireless transmission was received by our good friend, Mr. Marconi. Still ahead, we get down and dirty as Brian Hudgen rises to the challenge. And the always sparky Aliki helps you kickstart your motorcycle hobby. Stay with us.
Welcome back as Toyota Truck presents The Experience. I'm Dave Hatch, and it's time for this week's Learning Curve. This week, Aliki has caught up with a very loyal viewer.
Last week, in an effort to demonstrate to you just how easy it is to learn how to ride a motorcycle, we sent Aliki back to the same school where she learned to ride some 11 years ago. On pretty much every weekend throughout the summer, Ministry of Transport approved rider training schools like this one are held in vacant parking lots all across Canada. Basically, all you really need is the $400 entry fee, a learner's permit, and some good sturdy riding gear. While attending Learning Curve's motorcycle riding school in Toronto, Aliki brushed up on her slow riding skills, along with meeting some of the instructors and newbie riders. Rookie riders like Marlon, who's been watching Motorcycle Experience religiously on TSN for years.
So what motivated you to get into motorcycling?
Well, I've always been into just motorized vehicles. My brother, he loves cars and just anything that moves. So we've been watching the show for years, and I grew up watching it with him, and I just love riding. Just want to ride a bike, learn how to ride it, and just be out on the road by myself sometimes, right?
Yeah. So how did you find out about this course?
Actually, I did a bit of research on the internet. I found the course among others, and then I had a friend who was here a couple weeks ago too, and she did the course who I work with, and she recommended the course, so I spoke to them, and they sounded pretty cool, so I decided to go with Learning Curve.
How did you find the course and the lessons?
Well, I find the instructors very down to earth. They're motorcycle riders. They know the whole idea and they have fun with it, right? So it's been very enjoyable in that sense. That just no pressure. It seems it just guys jump on the bike and it's like a bicycle, just get going. So they've been really great in terms of motivating me and keeping us going and pointing out mistakes as well.
So you've never thrown your leg over a motorcycle before today?
No. This is the first time.
What have you found up to this point to have been the biggest challenge for you?
Riding slow, actually. That was pretty challenging, just getting through the little S-turns there. It seemed a lot harder slow, but when we picked up speed a bit, it's a lot easier to keep my balance and that sort of thing. But I mean, these are things we got to learn too, right? You never know what type of situation, traffic or whatever have you on the road, so it's definitely good learning. I like the fact that they take us through the baby steps.
So what's your next step from here?
My next step is to get my fiance in here. I've went into this and also my fiance, just the whole thought of having a hobby together, something we could do on our own. Enjoy the beautiful scenery in Canada and just have our little niche just for ourselves.
Good luck, Marlon. Looking forward to seeing you and your fiance this summer out on the open road. Now, you may recall that a couple of years ago, Motorcycle Experience toured the north shore of the St. Lawrence from Kingston all the way down to Quebec City and visited more than a few forts and historic 1812 battlefield sites along the way. So, in honor of the upcoming War of 1812 bicentennial this summer, June 18th marks the actual declaration of the war, we are going to launch a brand new Riders Club contest. That's right, this year we're calling it the 1812 Riders Club Contest. To enter, all you have to do is visit the motorcycleexperience.ca website and join our email Riders Club. Just like past winners John Verway of Pickering, Ontario, and Patrick Frampton of Vancouver did. If you're already a Motorcycle Experience Riders Club member, then just reconfirm your email address, and that's it. You've entered. On June 3rd, we'll pick our winner. This year's prize is an exclusive MV Agusta prize pack, including a limited edition hardcover book and helmet. Now that's Italian. All right then, next Brian Hudgen gets another shot in the slow lane. Stay with us.
A little bit. There, now you've got the sweet spot on the clutch. Good job.
Portions of Motorcycle Experience are brought to you in part by Honda, BMW Motorrad. Welcome back as Toyota Truck presents The Experience. I'm Dave Hatch, and now you may recall that my buddy Brian Hudgen and I have a little history. Over the past couple of years, I've bet him that he couldn't ride his Yamaha BWS 125 scooter all the way from Montreal to Toronto armed with only a tent and a $25 gas card. Then last year I challenged him to ride from Baie-Comeau, Quebec to Goose Bay, Labrador, over 1,300 kilometers of gravel, trees, and porcupine, again with nothing but a tent and a gas card. Which brings us now to this season. This year it's going to be different, as Brian and I have come up with a series of 6 challenges that will put Brian's riding skills to the ultimate test. Last week, during the first challenge at the Canadian Motorcycle Training Service facility just north of Barrie, Ontario, Brian failed by not being able to complete my slow ride challenge in over 30 seconds. This week, I'm giving Brian a second chance, and I'm also throwing him a lifeline. Brian, allow me to introduce you to Clinton S.M.A.R.T. He is definitely one of the top riding instructors in the country today. He's taught over 40,000 people how to ride a motorcycle, and he was spying on your last attempt. What do you think? Can you help him out?
I think we can, Brian. I saw three main things, but I had a question first. You hadn't been drinking, have you? It was a little bit wobbly.
It was a little sad.
Yes. But the main thing I think we can help you with is your eyes, first of all. You were conscious about not hitting the pylon right in front of you, but you'll go where you look. So if you look down at that cone, it's magnetic. It draws you in. So we're going to get your head up, looking at the destination you want to end up. That's the key thing. That'll help your balance big time. The other part was the clutch. Our dads who taught us how to drive standard cars told us, don't ride the clutch, you're going to burn the clutch. So some of us come to motorcycling with that same concept, where it's either all the way in or out. That was causing your bike to lurch. So what we'd like you to try next time, it's completely acceptable to ride a motorcycle with a clutch partially in. So try it with 2 fingers on the grip, 2 on the clutch, and find that sweet spot where it's pulling you, but it isn't so sensitive to throttle input. The last component, the third one I think will really help, is as street riders, we've been trained and conditioned to use the front brake a lot. But at very slow speeds, it's causing your front suspension to dive. And if you're turned a little, the next thing that happens is the foot comes down. So rear brake only, and just drag it a little bit when we need to slow down a little. And those 3 things, I think you'll not only get the time, but we'll keep the pylons intact and the feet up.
Great advice, Clinton. Let's put it to the test.
Good, Brian. Nice and smooth. The eyes are up, and you're feathering the clutch. Beautiful. Look at that end destination. Slow it down a little with rear brake. Much better. That's it. Coast it in. I think we're going to be close. Very nice.
Incredible. 30 seconds. Bang
Right on the money. Good job.
You win the challenge. It's pretty good. Yeah.
You'll get him next challenge.
Okay. Way to go, Brian.
That was good.
Yeah, not bad.
Especially in the gravel.
You know, I think it was all in the clutch.
And his eyes.
And the rear brake. Alrighty, there's one for Brian. Next week, we'll toss him deeper into the sandpit for challenge number 2.
Well, that's it for this week's program, folks. We're all out of time, but I leave you now in the competent hands of our roving reporter, Paul Connard. This week, he's up at the Forks of the Credit, and he's found a very nice old bimmer. So until next week, keep your feet on the pegs and your right hand cranked. Bye for now.
Hey Dave, I'm here with Monica at the Forks, and she's going to tell us about her 1980 BMW.
It's a R100S. It was originally built as an R100T in 1979. I bought it out of the States in May, and I've been riding it for all of this summer.
So you were saying you do a lot of wrenching on your own bike, you do all your own maintenance and oil changes?
I do, as much as I can. I like to restore old bikes as well. I've restored a 1978 Goldwing.
Wow.
And I do as much of the oil changes and the engine work and anything that I possibly can.
And what attracts you to the Forks?
Just the guys that I meet up with, a lot of friends up here. Sit and have coffee and just relax at the end of a ride, or even we meet here before we go out for rides, so it's good.
Great spot to visit.
It's a
Well,
great
thank you very
spot.
much, Monica, for coming out today.
You're welcome.